All right, let's head back to the casa. Did come down to Harbor Freight to get this straight die grinder made by Chief, which I hear good things about. So let's get back to the house, talk about how well this new cell phone app worked out and what I think about this die grinder.
What's going on, everyone? Justin again. As always, thanks for watching my channel. Welcome back. Well, we're back from Harbor Freight. I picked up one item in particular that I wanted here for the house because I don't have one here at the house, and that's the straight shot die grinder. Okay, this can also be turned into a cutoff wheel. Let me throw a little picture down here. So they have this little adapter piece that you can actually put in the end here and then screw it in, lock it down, and then you can put a little 3-inch cutoff wheel. So if you're using it for fabrication work or anything that has to do with metal, like this sign here, and you don't have a plasma cutter to maybe cut the outside edges or whatever, then you can get a nice square going, and then with your grinder, okay, you can use it, and then you can go ahead and make it as round or as smooth as you want. Just to give you an idea, a lot more work, okay? The plasma cutter was meant to make things a little more artistically easy, okay? It has a nice straight, smooth cut, round edge. Look, it worked great, except for on the inside, you can see where it's a little bit rough, and why I would want to use this Chief die grinder. And you guys have been asking about Chief for quite a while, and I honestly have just not had a need or any kind of desire to buy anything in the Chief name brand from Harbor Freight. Now, I did try the Chicago electric one, right? The one that you've seen there for like $17.99 or $20.99. So here's a little picture or video clip down here. You can see that they had another alternative. So if you didn't want to spend the $35 for the Chief brand, you can get one for $10 cheaper in the Chicago electric. I can tell you that I have had one of those in the past, and I honestly just did not have very good luck with it, okay? It just broke down within the first half a dozen uses. Now, Shane has had his for many years, and it's also Chicago electric. So that's not to say that you couldn't possibly have one yourself that you've been having for years that works just as good. It's just to say that sometimes not every single product is the best product right out the box, right? Sometimes you got to warranty it a couple times to get the better one. And it can even be made by the same person. So just some food for thought. But we're going to be trying out this Chief die grinder, and in fact, let me go grab some Carbide bits I want to make mention of, because my dad's been asking me who I thought made good bits. So let me go grab those. We're going to talk about bits for a second. All right, so check it out. Here are my Kodiak cutting tools, and these are double flute, and it did come in I think it's a 10-piece set that I picked up off of Amazon. A little bit on the spendy side, but very, very good quality, okay, gentlemen? These are great quality Carbide bits. I've utilized them a lot, especially in fabrication work, okay? I have some other ones at work that I picked up from the Mack tool truck that work great for automotive use. I'm sure these would work out great for automotive use too, but because of the style and nature of the different types of grinding and die grinding that I want to do, this is a perfect set for here at the house. So I enjoy doing some artistic stuff like my dad. Let's talk about this Chief die grinder for a minute. Little unboxing for you, okay? Yes, comes with instructions. Comes with the 2 wrenches to securely fasten one of the Carbide bits to the end. Let's just go ahead and get this thing set up. The reason why I like this one over the Chicago electric, and let me play a little video clip, there's a lot more tension on the trigger with the Chief one than there was the Chicago electric. The Chicago electric, obviously feeling very cheap. The trigger was very, very flimsy. This just feels like it has a little bit more tension, a little bit more control. So I'm actually pretty excited to try this thing out. You guys have been asking my opinion, so you're gonna get it today. All right, so I have these special little C-style air fittings that I need to hook up to it in order for us to be rocking and rolling here with our air compressor. So let me get this locked down, and let me get one of these bits tossed in here. They're gonna go ahead and go with the straight one, okay? This is gonna be the best one for me for these squared letters that we have created here. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss that in there. I wanna leave a little bit of length hanging out. All right, so they gave you 2 the same size wrench, right? But there's the same size on each one, so you can use it like so. Now, in some cases, if you've lost one, you can find another appropriate wrench to slide on over the top, okay? But at least they gave you 2 of them. So let me get this to stick out a little bit. Let's snug that down. All right, cool. So there we go, just like that. We are all ready to rock and roll. Now, I know that the Chicago Electric was $10 cheaper than the Chief, but let me tell you, with the 20% coupon that I had on my cell phone, I don't have my cell phone with me, the 20% coupon that's on the cell phone app knocked this thing down to $30. I think it was like $30.40 after tax with coupon during today's sales event. Alright, well now that we've had a little bit of fun with our die grinder, I just got done changing the grinding wheel over to the sanding wheel because we want to sand this down. I'm not going to bore you with die grinding the entire thing on video. That's ridiculous. Okay, I'll spend some more time on this tomorrow going through and perfecting it, but I will say this thing's got a lot of high RPM. And it's not too difficult to control, though sometimes I did catch myself skipping in certain spots. When it comes to using a die grinder, you really kind of got to be careful with the exact angle and direction that you're trying to clean something up, because if you try to go against it, it's going to start skipping and that's going to chew up these bits really, really quick. But other than that, look, so far, pretty overall happy with this. Wish I would have picked up the 90 while I was at it. In fact, there's a local fabricator in town, and I guess he comes in all the time and he literally owns every Chief product that they ever come out with. So if that doesn't tell you how good the product is, then try to look at some of the forums, some of the other YouTube videos out there. But like I said, there's a pretty well-known fabricator in town, and from the Harbor Freight manager's perspective, the man thoroughly enjoys him some Chief. All right, so now we got the Hercules cordless back from my dad. One of the things that he made brief mention of is how easy it is to clean these out, but what he didn't show in the video was that you can actually pop these off and remove them and then clean them out if you wanted to. We got a full state of health here, and I just changed over to a 36 grit, and we're gonna go ahead and try to clean this up a little bit. So who does the Inside Track Club membership really benefit? Guys, it benefits those of you that are going there every other weekend or once a month or frequently enough throughout the year to benefit from it. I said it myself when I had bought the welder, or just before I bought the welder, that I was killer glad that I actually bought the membership, because I was able to take advantage of not only getting it early, a few days early, but I was able to actually get the price dropped as well. So for that, it worked out well for me. This year, probably since February, March, I really haven't been buying too much from there. So I don't think it's going to benefit me in this aspect. What did benefit me today was the new Harbor Freight app. I think it's very, very convenient. I like the setup of it. The one thing it is missing that I would like to see them incorporate later is definitely going to be some way of being able to keep track of your receipt. So maybe they should look into having the customer create a login, so that way it can actually track their spending. It can track the receipted purchases, their warranties. I think that'd be cool to have something like that incorporated into the new Harbor Freight app. All right, so I just got done cleaning up both sides of the Cafe 247 sign. I have a little bit work to do still with taking off some of the more rougher edges around the numbers, and even one of the letters I kind of got a little bit too tall with, but I think it'll be okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? That's the fun part with artwork. Nothing's ever perfect, though somebody thinks it looks great. So especially when it's all done, I think it's gonna look great. Still wanna prime it, still wanna paint it, still wanna take it down. Still want to take it down to a higher grit sandpaper, maybe like 140, I don't know, 220 if it's possible. I'm gonna have to go out there and see what's possible as far as sanding options go for metal. Let's talk about some things that I was impressed with, not impressed with, and then we'll wrap it up with our final thoughts, shall we? Okay, not impressed with. I still have some of these because the first pack didn't work out very well. But I had bought two of them because I wanted one for here, one for work, right? These little wire wheels. Now these you can adapt to a drill but more times than not, a lot of guys like putting them on the little die grinder, like the little Chief that we just picked up. These little things will fling off and stab you in the neck. I don't know if there's a better brand out there that doesn't do that, because I think of all the brands I've had, one way or another, the little wires do come off. Not my most favorite, but they do work. Just make sure you're well protected all the way around. Okay, so not impressed with Warrior wire wheels. Very impressed with the Kodiak cutting carbide bits. These are the double flute, and I'll make sure that I put the Amazon affiliate link down in the description for you, as well as some other options in case you don't have a Harbor Freight near you, because I think that's the #1 complaint that I usually get during these Harbor Freight reviews is that, man, I wish I had one. Is there something more compatible or close in price comparison that's equal quality? See if I can't throw a couple of things down there for you guys to reference. Impressed with the Chief die grinder. Okay, so far so good. First time use, the trigger did not fail me. Okay, a lot of control, very good spring tension, has very fast RPM, and when working around the letters, seemed to work out great. I think I'm gonna like this thing over time. Just a few drops of oil if you have it. If you don't, you can use ATF, you can use WD-40 if that's all you got. Just a little couple drops in there. If you can get air tool oil, even better. Marvel has some, right? You could pick it up from O'Reilly's. I'm sure that Harbor Freight has maybe a Warrior air tool oil you could pick up too that works just as good too. So I was very impressed with the Chief die grinder. Okay, overall, not impressed with the Warrior flap disc sanding 36 grit sanding wheel. Just look at that thing, man. Look at it, look at it. Oh. It pretty much is worn out completely. And it worked great for the first side, but towards the end I saw that it was taking me more and more passes to go over certain spots. Flipping it over, lucky for us, there wasn't as much rust on the other side to clean up or burn marks from cutting at the plasma torch. We were able to get both sides done. And then the disc was done. So that disc is useless at this point. No good. So do not recommend the Warrior sanding discs by any means. Pretty impressed with the Hercules cordless. One of the things that I wasn't a huge fan of that I thought that I would be was actually the balance. So you guys remember me saying that the tool itself feels pretty well balanced. Overall with the battery and everything on there, pretty well balanced, right? This is true. But when you're using it, it almost feels like the battery kind of hits you in the arm because of the length of it. Whatever, we worked around it right. I just grabbed the back of the battery and I just kind of pivot it and move it like so. So that's what I was able to do to get a little bit more comfort out of it. Just because it's just a little bit tall, right? I mean, I don't know. I guess if the battery wasn't as tall as the tool or went taller the other direction maybe. So like, I don't know, if it was something like that, okay? If they could have flipped the battery the other direction, I think that might have been better. Because see how natural my wrist settles there on the back? Okay, well once you put the battery on, it just kind of, I don't like the articulation, okay? It feels like I'm being stopped from using it. So I used the back of it. Overall, was able to power through both sides. Did seem like it started to slow down a little bit, but I was using it for approximately 10 minutes of constant use. Took a look at the battery fuel indicator, 50%. So we still have half life left out of this thing. So I'm pretty happy with that as far as sanding goes. We'll get into using it for grinding and cut off at some point in time. But for today's video, because it was more of a polish it up and clean up the 247 sign, so I can start figuring out what all I'm gonna do with it to make it look real nice for Cafe 247 before I give it to him. For today's video installment and segment, I thought the Hercules cordless worked out great. I think my dad likes it a pretty good fair amount, and I know that he loves that plasma cutter, man. He's already asked me, hey, can I borrow that here in another couple of weeks from you? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it home because I had some things that I wanted to do with it here project-wise over the weekend. So here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be taking the plasma cutter back down to my dad so he can use it some more. He loves that thing, man. And you know what? Why shouldn't he? It's a really cool tool. He has a lot of family and friends down there that really enjoy the little Cocapelli guys that we made together and some of the other signs and things that he's able to do with it. And he just has that kind of time frame to where he can set aside enough time to actually have fun with some of these projects. Me, we're a young family, right? Everything's always moving, we're always busy. So trying to find time to have a little fun project like this, few and far between. But here we are messing around over the weekend. All right, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, smash the thumbs up. If you didn't, smash the thumbs down. Share if you wanna share, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers and deuces.